30th birthday, Scooby. And here to tell me a little bit more about the dog and the legend is Front magazine journalist and self-confessed Scooby freak, Duncan Kane. Duncan, welcome to Raw TV.
Thank you very much.
So, very basically, Scooby. Scooby-Doo, Scooby-Don't.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Really? You put the doobie in. Why so vehement?
It's just a rhythmical, it's just part of his...
Why Scooby for you? What kind of got you onto him?
I guess it's because he's a bit of a sort of canine icon of cartoon culture, and he's 30 and he doesn't look it, you know, which is always a good thing, I suppose. And then there's just something about the way every time they did the show, it was exactly the same, and you didn't mind, you know, for a start. And they had a cool car, and I fancied Daphne, you know, there's a lot of reasons.
I think everyone fancied Daphne. A lot of people I met on the streets were going for Velma, but I think they were just trying to be hip and cool.
I think they were just being blind, really. And she's pretty ugly, Velma, wasn't she? She had brains. Perhaps that's a go with brains. Maybe.
Well, yeah, it was the 70s. You were allowed to say, you know, well, she's got brains, but that's about it, isn't it? With Scooby, was it really for you? Was it the interesting kind of the paranormal? Was it you liked Scooby and Shaggy? They were sort of great comic double act, or was it just you liked the kind of colours and the motion?
I think it was the Scooby and the Shaggy, the fact they were being chased all the time, the fact they were always hungry. The fact that I also liked the theme tune because it kind of was a bit like the sort of 60s stuff, like Sugar Sugar by the Archies, and also there was another song. It was the Monkees, Daydream Believer, a bit like that, and that whole kind of surf feel to it. I always thought it was really hip. I mean, I was quite young, but I thought it was really hip.
Old man playing in a session band who was the guy who sang that. Nobody knows who he is, of course, but every child in the world can sing that thing.
Exactly, and actually sped it up when they did some other, I think it was The New Adventures of Scooby-Doo or something in the mid-70s, which sort of spoilt it a bit. Whereas if they were to do it now, they'd probably have it about 180 BPM, wouldn't they?
Yeah, banging techno. Why was it ruined a bit later on? And I can think of two words explaining it being Scrappy-Doo.
Scrappy-Doo, I think... I mean, I might not be allowed to say this, but he should have been put in a bag and taken down to the canal.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I was speaking to someone on the street, and they said that they didn't like him because he was angry, he was violent, and Scooby was all peaceful and fair, and then came Scrappy-Doo. Do you remember the first time you saw Scrappy-Doo?
Yeah, I do. I just couldn't actually believe what was going on. There was this little thing going, puppy power! Yeah. And just getting in the way.
It predated
and he
girl
talked
power,
as well.
But it got as old as quickly.
Exactly.
Didn't it?
And Scooby didn't talk. He'd just say, you know, everything starts with R. You know? So why can this puppy talk, and why was he in our faces?
And why did we never meet Scrappy? If Scrappy is Scooby's nephew, we should have met, you know, the sister or brother who sired him. Anyway, we get off the subject, but we're going to have a quick look now at a little clip. This is from Scooby's latest film, which is going to be released very shortly. It's entitled Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island.
It's Mr. Beeman, the real estate agent.
Mr. Beeman?
Yeah, he was printing millions of counterfeit dollars in the basement with his printing press. What we originally thought was mold was really green ink. See?
And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for that big dog and you meddling kids.
Oh, Scooby, will you never learn? You've watched Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is the newest film. I think it's the first full-length film we've done for 7 years.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought it was great. I really did, because it harked back to the kind of the early 70s Scooby-Doo. Like I said, there was no Scrappy-Doos, there's no guest spots by any, you know, Sonny and Cher or whatever.
Yeah.
And there are zombies in it, and they're real zombies. And there's a real twist at the end. I won't say any more because...
I was a bit upset that it's kind of like bringing in later developments in culture, expecting children to know about counterfeit money, whereas it used to be, I've got some gold, I was going to pull down the funfair, and all you kids would have to leave. But now it's counterfeit money. Do you think they've tried to update it?
Definitely, but they've also tried really hard to keep it to the original format. It's like a parody of itself, almost, and it really works. I mean, I really like it.
Why has Scooby-Doo sort of lasted, whereas other 70s characters, like Hong Kong Phooey and the Hair Bear Bunch, they had a sort of period in the sun of being trendy Gen X projects, if you like. But Scooby-Doo is a sort of reliable classic. I think it's never off television, you know, somewhere in the country. Why do you think that is?
I do think it because it's the simple, the concept is the same every time. You know, they arrive at a moody place. Somebody is trying to frighten all the locals away from it. Scooby and Shaggy find him, get some food, run away, get chased, find everyone else again. Fred and Velma solve it, and Daphne stands around pouting her lips, you know, and people like it. And it's 6 to 12-year-old kids, you know.
Yeah, they developed it a little further, because something, I think Fred and Velma went on to do other things in the mythos.
Who knows what they got up to?
I believe, what Warner Brothers, or Hanna-Barbera, sorry,
Yeah.
tell you, is that Velma became a NASA scientist and Fred began writing mystery novels, which seems a bit of a cop-out, really, you know, being in there.
Yes, yeah, I mean, really, I mean, I thought Fred would have copped off with Daphne.
Well, yeah,
that
I
was
used to
always
hate
on the
Fred for
cards.
that very reason.
Oof, we
I
all did.
really hated Fred.
But
He
I
was the
still
first
hate Fred
person.
now, I think.
So do I,
Yeah.
because he's, you know, it doesn't matter how much time's passed. He's still hooking up with
He's
Daphne
still
in Zombie
blonde,
Island,
and he's still
It's just
16.
not fair. They've also brought some great merchandise out, which I'm very keen on. And I'm just going to press Scooby's chest in here, and we can hear what he says. Oh, clammed up. You see, it's the cameras. They hate them. Dogs are terrible. Come on, come on. Well, there's a mystery for Scooby and the pack to solve, isn't it? The mystery of the disappearing batteries.
Yeah.
And I could have pulled that off if it wasn't for you pesky battery manufacturers. Gee. Well, Duncan, thank you very much for coming and spending some time with us today. But before you go, there is a Scooby snack here.
Oh,
Does it look as appetising as it did in the animated world?
easily, more so, perhaps.
How much cheese would you estimate was in there?
A factory full of cheese, a cow full,
I tell you, it's £1.50.
£1.50 of cheese.
You're not
Full
allowed to
cream
move it, but I
cheese.
think later there's going to be a young man who's going to get his very own Scooby snack to take home. Would you like that?
Thank you very much
Duncan,
indeed.
thank you for coming on.
Thank
Raw.
you for having me.
Cheers. Well, that Scooby snack looked mighty appetising, but there's a Scooby snack about to come up that's made by some very special people indeed. This is the Fun-Loving Criminals.